Milestone Church. Thank you for joining us for our Church at Home online experience. We're so grateful that you've taken time out of your busy life to spend it with us here. And we believe that no matter where you're watching from today, whether it's the lake, your house, in your PJs, breakfast with your family, maybe you're up in the mountains to enjoy some of this beautiful East Tennessee fall weather we're having, we believe that God wants to reach you, He wants to speak to you, and He wants to move in your life today through this at-home experience. Real quick before we get started with our service, I got just a couple of things I want to remind you about. If you're interested in giving to this ministry, so ministries like this one can continue to operate, you can do so at our website, milestonechurch.cc/give. You can set up reoccurring giving there, or if you're interested in doing it by text, you can text 84321 any amount. If you've never done that before, it'll send you a little link for you to click and set it up. You'll never have to set it up ever again, and it's really simple. I save that number as church giving in my phone, so I can be like, hey Siri, give $20 to church giving, and it'll automatically do it. It's one of my favorite ways to do it. Also, if this is your first time joining us for Church at Home, please do us a favor. Head on over to milestonechurch.cc/connect on our website. You'll see a big button that says Connect Card. If you'll fill that out, it'll just let us know about your visit to our online campus and just how maybe we can reach out to you and maybe even schedule a chance for you to come and attend one of our physical campuses for one of our physical in-person gatherings. We want to make it as safe as humanly possible. We want you to feel comfortable during these times that we are in. I'm going to kick it to the band real quick as we get ready to start. Remember, no matter where you're at today, God has a plan, God has a purpose, and He wants to meet with you today. He's inviting us to come. So invite Him into your home, sing out, and just praise Him for all that He is doing. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's kick it to the band, and let's have a great service.
Come on, sing with me. I searched the world. I searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. A man's empty praise and treasures that fade, I never know. Then you came along and put me back together. And every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you. There's nothing is better than you. And I know it's true, and I'm not afraid to show you my weakness. Come on, my failures and flaws. Lord, you've seen them all, and you still call me friend. Oh, 'cause the God of the mountain is the God of the valley, and there's not a place your mercy and grace won't find me again. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you. Lord, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. Come on, there's nothing. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you. Lord, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. You turn it great. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. Making waves in the sea. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. Oh, you turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. Come on, let's give him praise. He turns graves into gardens. As a matter of fact, let's sing it again. Come on, you turn graves. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. Sing it out, you turn the grave. You turn graves into gardens. Oh, you turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. One more time. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. Making waves in the sea. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. Come on, let's give God praise this morning. He turns graves into gardens. Turns graves into gardens. You guys can go ahead and have a seat. Come on, let's stand back up. Go back into worship. Let's have some energy this morning. God is in the house. Let's worship Him. Let's expect breakthroughs this morning. I know there's someone that needs it.
I give you glory for all you've brought me through, and now I'm ready for whatever you wanna do.
time for a breakthrough and a miracle, right? He still does that, you know. Come on, let's just get in a space in our mind right now where we're just expecting him to move this morning. We know he's here. Let's welcome him. And let's just ask him for a breakthrough. Let's ask him for a miracle this morning, for maybe that person that walked through the doors that doesn't know him, or that knows him and just isn't close enough to him. Let's just pray over them right now for a miracle, for a breakthrough. The atmosphere is changing now, for the Spirit of the Lord is here. The evidence is all around that the Spirit of the Lord is here. Yes, He is. The atmosphere is changing now, for the Spirit of the Lord is here. The evidence is all around that the Spirit of the Lord is here. Overflowing this place, fill our hearts with your love. Your love surrounds us. You're the reason we came to encounter your love. Your love surrounds us. The atmosphere is changing now. Sing that out with me. For the Spirit of the Lord is here. Here in this place, the evidence is all around that the Spirit of the Lord is here. The atmosphere is changing now, for the Spirit of the Lord is here. The evidence is all around that the Spirit of the Lord is here. Overflow in this place. Fill our hearts with your love. Your love surrounds us. You're the reason we came to encounter your love. Your love surrounds us. Overflow in this place. Fill our hearts with your love. Surround us. You're the reason we came to encounter your love. Your love surrounds us. We're surrounded by your love, Jesus. We need your love. Oh, we need your love. Spirit of God, fall fresh on us. We need your presence. And your kingdom come, your will be that out with me. Spirit of God, fall fresh on us. We need your presence. Your kingdom come, your will be done, here as in heaven. Spirit of God, fall fresh on us. We need your presence. Your kingdom come, your will be done, here as in a miracle can happen now. For the Spirit of the Lord is here. The evidence is all around that the Spirit of the Lord is here. A miracle can happen now, here in this place. For the Spirit of the Lord is here. Yes, He is. The evidence is all around that the Spirit of the Lord is here. Come on, let's give Him praise this morning. He is in the building. I can feel it. I can feel it. You guys can go ahead and have a seat.
Good morning, Milestone. How are you? Hope you're having a fabulous, fabulous day. Thanks for choosing to worship with us. Man, I don't know about you, but I've had an incredible, incredible week. This is for a lot of you guys fall break. Some of you are just now getting back or maybe on their way back. But we went up to Max Patch and got to see the colors, and it was incredible. I love this time of the year. Just super fun. So I hope you guys are great. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for spending time with us this morning. We're going to jump in. But listen, before we do, some big things. Had a belt. He got sent to jail. Yeah, he was holding up 2 pairs of pants. And so it's just been a tough life. The cafeteria. So why is the cafeteria clock always behind? It always goes back for seconds. I know, it's so bad. Some of you saw away. I apologize. You didn't know what to think when I started telling jokes. I'm so bad. I got one more, though. So why did the leopard not like playing hide and seek? He was always spotted. Anyway, man, hope you guys are good. Thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for giving, for serving, and for being a part. And I hope this meets a need for our church family, as I know some of you guys are still hanging out with COVID. Some of you are just busy in life and work schedules. So thanks for hanging out with us again. So we're jumping in. And you missed Roberts last week. Go back and see it. It kicked off our series entitled The Sweet Tooth. And he had a list of his favorite sweet tooth, his favorite candies. And some people were on board. Some people were not fans. We are very opinionated about our chocolates, okay? Just so people know. So, man, so you type in what your favorite is as we type into this sweet tooth. What are the things that the sweet tooth, this idea, it's a desire, it's a craving for sweet foods. Man, what are those things that you just want and got to have? As we look this month, man, we're looking, of all things, the backdrop for our series is Samson. Now, Samson, we think about Delilah, all that stuff, and he had lots of things, but he had lots of desires that he wanted to fulfill. Now, he was a Nazarite, so there was three things that you couldn't do. Is that one, that you couldn't be around any kind of dead carcasses, anything dead. It's dead, it's done, we're out. Two, if it came from the vine, so no drinking of the grapes, apple juice, wine, whatever, nothing. Nothing from the vines. And the second, the last thing is that you couldn't cut his hair. And Robert gave probably my favorite analogy is the idea of the hair. It wasn't like his strength and power, but it was like a wedding ring. It was a symbol of something grander. Just like if I take the ring off, it doesn't mean I'm not married, but the symbol represented that I am married. And his hair was a representation of his being set apart. And so, man, this is where he's at. We're going to jump into his life, and we're going to see that he is, like a lot of us, emotionally driven. He has these wants, desires, and he wants them like most of us now. And so he gambles pretty quickly. He likes to walk on the line, and he goes through vineyards and places he shouldn't be. He's eating out of the carcass, because he's got a sweet tooth, and he ends up getting into trouble, and his temper gets the best of him several different times, and he doesn't want to take ownership of this. It's part of God's plan and some of that stuff. But I think as we look at this, we're going to glean some things, learn some things from Samson's life that are going to help us. Because I don't know about you, but there are things we're going to look at in Samson's life. People pushed his buttons. Do you have people in life that push your buttons? Like, there are people in my life that, like, this time of the season, about every 4 years, you get it. Like, the political post stuff drives people crazy. I just don't care, because I just don't care. No matter who is president, nothing really changed in my life. But the fight up to that point, oh my goodness, people are big about that. SEC's back, football season's back. I'm telling you what, the opinions and the people who, what Tennessee needs to do is, what really needed to happen was, what happens, we need to get a new coach. We need a new team, that's what we need. And man, people get, just heated about that. Some of you get fired up because you're kids. You're like, if I tell you one more time to get that done, I will kill you and make another one. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're frustrated. Some of you have those coworkers who like to tell you how to do your job. Oh, and there's a tone in their voice, like when they start talking, you're like, God, can I just kill him now, please? Mercy, kill him. It would be a favor for you. That's how you feel. Those kind of things. What gets me, and I get possessed in the car, and it's people who go slow in the left lane. Why? Why are you driving? And then other people who get me. Ooh, when you don't use your signal and then you blow up and stop. I want to pull over and go, hey, does your blinker work? Just wondering, I didn't see it. There's things that just frustrate you. People just pushing your buttons. It happened the other day, and this guy, and there's an arrogance about it, and he had his phone, and he had it on speaker, and he's walking through. I was having a spiritual moment at Cracker Barrel. I was eating pancakes. I had a tear come and think about it. It was good. And he's like, yeah, yeah, that's what I wouldn't do that. And he's just talking like nobody else is in the room. Like, it is a full Cracker Barrel. Everybody's there. Even with COVID spread out, it was full. And he's just talking away like, yeah, I'm important. Yeah, I'm on my phone. Go ahead. And I was like, just fire. Those things that just fire you up, those kind of things. This one gets my son. It happens to him because he's the one who has he didn't realize the other day what a Jethro bowl was. So he got a Jethro bowl of cereal. And he poured that bad boy out, and he went and realized there was no milk. Like, I'm pretty sure I saw it here. Things that just push your buttons, right? This is kind of what we're going to jump into. And there are moments in our lives when people have a tendency to push our buttons. I'm going to tell you a couple of mine, at least two illustrations. One is my dog. I've got the greatest dog. He's a lab, and his name is Duke. Okay, now Duke is awesome. But here's when we play fetch, like I was like, Duke, come on. And I get the ball, and he's like this. Like, you can't fake it because he doesn't get to fake. The fake, he's gone. But I take that ball, and I have thrown the ball. Like, Duke, here you go. And I will throw it. He is so intent on this ball that he doesn't pay attention to anything around him. So I have to be careful, because here's why. I threw the ball. He didn't pay attention. And he turns around, and he hits our car. It's a car. It wasn't moving. Didn't sneak up on him. He was so focused, he didn't see anything else around him. He has hit a planter. Like, it's sitting it's right there on the patio. I'm like, Duke, here you go. Turn around. I'm like, oh, he dead now. I mean, like, it's crazy because he was so intent. Emotionally, we get like that. We get so focused that we don't see anything else around us. And that's what happened. I'm going to tell you a story I'm not proud of, and I don't say it often, and hopefully this won't go public often. But my granny, who was the greatest. I love my granny. She was phenomenal for me. She was great. But she knew how to push people's buttons, you know, those kind of things. And so we're at the house, at my mama's house, and she had started a conversation, and I don't know how or what it was. All I know is that in just a moment, like I don't know how it happened, I erupted, and I was like, ugh! And I went, and I smashed, and I hit my mom's door, okay? And then I put a hole in my mom's door, walked down the steps, and I walk out. If you're in Clinton, I went to Get and Go. Hung out, got me a chili dog, and I was better. But 45 minutes, an hour later, my family were kind of freaked out. But I haven't done that since. Don't worry. It's not anger management that I need. Just don't push my buttons. That's fine. That's easier that way. But emotionally driven. This is what we're going to look at this morning. Because we have people who push our buttons. We live in this world that we have this, we want our desires met. And when we don't, then we get frustrated. You know, it's kind of like driving. Like if everybody moved out of the way, how great would your life be? Except, you know what? They're in your way. That's kind of how we feel. We get so focused on the one thing that we miss the things on the side. And we miss that. And so how do we live in a world that pushes our buttons? And how do we live godly versus living worldly? That's kind of our tension, kind of where we're at. Like, how do we do this? And we're going to look at Samson and what happened in his life. So in Judges chapter 14, we're going to do 10 through 14, just for the first to kind of get us started. So as his father was making the final arrangements for the marriage, Samson threw a party at Timnah. It says, and it was custom for the elite young men, elite. Hey, let's, there's some money in here, okay? So here's why, the elite. It says, and the bride's parents saw him. It says they selected 30 young men. Selected 30, this is the groomsmen. They selected. Not, he didn't bring his own, they selected. That's going to come into play. Pay attention. It's going to get good. And it says, from the time, it says, from the town of his companions. So it wasn't his friends, it was people, it was the Philistines, okay? It says, so Samson said to them, let me tell you a riddle. You solve my riddle in these 7 days of the celebration. 7 days as a party. All right. It says, I will give you 30 linens and robes and 30 of the sets of the festival's clothing. Okay, the finest clothing. We're going to set you up new wardrobes. All right. And so, but if you can't solve it, then you must give me the 30 linens of robes and some of the finest clothing. All right. They agreed. Let's hear the riddle. So they said, out of the one who eats came something to eat, and out of the strong came something sweet. And so he says this riddle. Now there's lots of things that are going on, and so we talked about early on, the Samson's family had some money, okay? They're having a party, okay? And so, but it's an indication, it's not like a party like, hey, get the streamers, get the pinatas, like it's a keg party, like it's a woo-woo. And so, but here's the problem. He's a Nazarite, so what can he not do? Couldn't drink, okay? It wasn't like, yeah, I had beer. Wine was what they had, and so he's at a keg party, all right? And so why is he there? There's emotionally, we think that we're so much better than everybody else. As Christians, if you've been a Christian any longer, about 4 or 5 years, 10 years especially, you're like, I am superior, bow to me. That's kind of how we feel. We don't say it out loud because we think they should know by now. And that's how we feel. This arrogance, this pride kind of comes through in his life, and he thinks that he is so much better. And so he's got great wealth. He's at this cake party. Some thoughts is like, why is he there? And we have a tendency to put ourselves in situations trying to see how close to the line can I get without stepping across, thinking that I've got it. But emotionally, we want to be where everybody else is at. We want to be, we don't like being different. Like Samson had to think he was set apart. So because being a Nazarite, or being this Nazarite law, some things were different. The cutting the hair, people knew what he was. He wasn't around alcohol, he wasn't around dead things, he wasn't going to funerals, okay? And so, man, he was set apart. And some people just don't like that being set apart. I want to fit in, I don't want to stand out. And I'm thinking that's how he had to feel. And emotionally, man, listen to this, he didn't have any of his friends. He's by himself. So, first of all, you're in a bad spot, you shouldn't have been there. And he didn't have any of his friends with him. But when I read through Samson's life, here's what scares me and discourages me. I don't see him with anybody else. I saw him after his sweet tooth. I saw him chasing women. I see him gambling right here, trying to make a little extra on the side. Like I see him bumping the lines. I see him walking through the vineyard. Why you walk through the vineyard? You can't eat grapes. Like even if it's not fermented. Walking on that line. Some of you, me, walk on that line. How close can I get without stepping and getting into trouble? He didn't have any of his friends with him. And so he gets there and he's hanging out with the enemies. So he's in a place he shouldn't be, and he's hanging out with the enemies. And then he kind of pokes the bear just a little bit. Like, hey, you're all so wise and so smart. And I'm just, Not me. He said, let me give you a little riddle. And so he pokes a bear and he wagers. It's the idea he's gambling. He wants something, a get rich quick kind of thing. I want to make a little extra here on the side. We have that thoughts, and this is what he does. And emotionally, he thinks he's so proud, he's so arrogant, and he just wants to. This is what you do at weddings. We kind of riddle this and we goof off, and it becomes a big deal. So in Judges chapter 14, if you look at these next 5 verses, 15 through 20, here's what it says. So on the 4th day, they said to Samson's wife, entice your husband, and explain the riddle to us, or we will burn down your father's house with you in it. Did you invite us to this party just to make us poor? So Samson's wife came in tears and said to him, don't you love me? You hate me. So you have given my people this riddle, and you haven't told me the answer. He's like, I haven't given the answer to my father or my mother, he replied. Well, why should I tell you? This is not how you want to start a relationship with a wife. Okay, this is not good, but we'll move on. It gets worse, unfortunately. So as he jumps in, he says, so she cried whenever she saw him and kept it up for the rest of the celebration. Wow. But Samson was this lasted 7 days. On the 7th day, because he was tormented with her by her nagging. That's wrong. And it says this is a wedding. This is not. She explained. So she explained the riddle to her. So before the sunset, verse 18. Before the sunset, the 7th day, the men came to town and said to Samson with an answer. What is sweeter than honey, and what is stronger than a lion? Samson replied, if you hadn't plowed with my heifer. He called his wife a heifer. I'm going to come back to that. That's wrong. All right. So he called her a heifer. He said, you wouldn't have solved my riddle. It says, then the Spirit of the Lord came upon him. The what? The Spirit of the Lord came upon him. He went down the road and killed 30 men and took their belongings and their clothing and gave it to those who saw the riddle. But Samson was furious. Anger, first response. Furious about what happened, and he went back home to live with his father and mother. He's like, I ain't going back. Here's your stuff. See ya. I'm out. And he leaves. And so his wife was given in marriage to the man who was Samson's best man at the wedding. Dude, you're talking about a bad day for everybody. So a couple of things. The Philistines were not happy because they couldn't solve the riddle. So they cheated and they bribed. They pushed somebody else's money. Nobody likes to lose. They are emotionally driven. I'm not giving up. He's a dumb guy. I don't like him anyway. So let's go do this. And they push the buttons. And so emotions run high when things are involved, when you're involved, when your pride's on the line, when money's involved. Man, we just don't like to lose. And on top of that, then as they cheat, they use her. Use the new wife as the leverage. And for 7 days, she cried every time she was with him. Like, this is not the honeymoon that I signed up for, right? Like, this is not it. But I want to point out something because I see this often. We're going to see this in Samson's life over and over again about how next week, don't miss next week, Chris is going to kill it. We're talking about Samson, Delilah. Delilah. You have to say it like that. That's the rules. Anyway, so we're going to see how he's enticed yet again. But watch this. Proverbs 25, this is a messed up verse because it's in here, and it's in here like 3 times. Solomon, wisest man, he wrote this. Don't hate on me, it's the word. It says, Proverbs 25, verse 24. It is better to live alone on the corner of an attic, or some may say roof. It said with a quarrelsome wife in a lovely home. Man, I'm telling you, you have been in a situation, both male and female. You've been in homes when you have been verbally and just beat down. Even at work, what people say to you, people that are around you, what they say over and over, it just beats you down and it wears you out. Emotionally wiped out. And you stop believing you are who you are. Samson is just, I'm done with this. Here's the answer to the riddle. Y'all done it with your kids, they find so much. Here, have it. Just stop. That frustration. Emotionally, this is it. And so the goal is that, man, we want to be not led just by our emotions, but we want to be led by the Spirit. And here's what we're talking about. As they go through, so then he calls her a heifer. Okay, like this is wrong. And here's, ready for this? A heifer. Unpredictable and stubborn. That's not how you want to call your new wife, okay? And so, and then he goes about 20 miles, kills 30 Philistines to make the payment. Okay? Like, I was reading that and I read it. We've talked about it all the time, but I thought, whoa. He just killed 30 people he's a serial killer. And owned up to it like, I did it. What? Like, emotionally, like, I'm getting mine. Fine. You want to play that game? I'll play that way. Y'all do that when you have arguments and conversations? Oh, you want to go there? All right. Your mama. Oh, my mama. Oh, you can bring that into it. Oh, it's on now. You know, like emotionally, we just keep getting pushed further and further. And this is what happens. He's wore out. He's done. He's overwhelmed. She's cried. She's whined. They cheated. Man, I got to pay up. I'll pay up. And you're going to pay for what you did. Here we go. And they just emotionally just overridden over and over again. And here's the deal, and this breaks my heart because some of y'all know me and my heart for teaching in schools, but marriage, I love it. It's such a cool thing. And so, but see, Samson didn't take it that seriously, okay? Like, it's a week of celebration. He didn't consummate the marriage. He didn't, didn't. Like, what kind of, anyway. The Philistines didn't care about it because they said, here's, hey, we'll just take the best man. We'll threaten to kill the wife if she don't own up and tell us the answer. And then even the bride's family. Like, as a dad, if somebody wanted to marry my daughter, like, oh, you don't want her now? Hey, anybody else want her? Hey, you're a good man right there. Hey, gotcha. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So they didn't take it seriously. And so just emotionally, roller coasters for this bride. How does she feel self-esteem wise? Is she worthy? Is this guy he just threatened to kill me. Now he's wanting to marry me? Like, I just don't even understand where they're at. And so in the middle of all this, Samson comes back. He goes back home, calms down a little bit. I'm going to see my wife, okay? My new wife. I'm going to go see her. I got my young goat. We're going to have a little festival. We're going to hang out. We're going to, man, you know what I'm saying? Catch up with lost time. And all of a sudden, he goes back in, and this is what it says. The dad's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you hated her, so I gave her to your best man. It wasn't his best man. It was the man you chose. Oh. So then he's like, hey, why don't you take my other daughter? She's even cuter. He's like, it's on now. He said, you brought this one on yourself. And so here's what he did. Judges chapter 15, verses 4 and 5. This is wrong. So he went down and got 300 foxes, tied them to their tails together in pairs, and fastened a torch to their tails. Then he lit the torch and let the foxes run through the grain fields of the Philistines. It says, he burned all the grain onto the ground, including the sheaves and the uncut grain. He also destroyed their vineyards and olive groves. Bonfire. See ya. Out. Like, he was ticked. And so he was furious. Like, I don't know that's your best way to get revenge. But he just destroyed everything. PETA was not happy about that one, okay? They called about the foxes. How do you catch 300 foxes? And then give him time to tell him. That's a miracle right there. But once again, he's destroyed this whole vineyard and everything. It says, and then it didn't own up to it. It's like, that's all on you. Isn't it amazing how we can say something to somebody that will crush them? Just, you said that to me, you poke the bear. All right, here it comes. Mess the bull, you get the horns. Like, we justify that our emotions allow us to say and do whatever we want to do. That's not how it happens. And here's the deal. If there's a takeaway, is that your sweet tooth is just a feeling, but the spirit is a choice. One more time, because this is good. Sweet tooth is a feeling, that emotion just driven, but the spirit is a choice. See, I've got to choose to act out of just anger and frustration and meanness, or I can hold on and be, quick to listen, slow to speak. I mean, because I'm just as emotional. Like, listen, please don't think just because we're pastors and we're here and we get to share that we got this. No. I struggle just like everybody else does. But then I've got to be sit up here sometimes and even try to be more perfect, which I'm not. The struggle was real for him. He's like, what am I going to... And so, because of this, I mean, and here's what's crazy. So emotionally, he just wiped out. And he goes, he hides in a cave. They come back and the Jews say, listen, you got to own up to this. All right, take me up there. They bound him. He goes up there. And then he flexes on him, get the donkey jawbone. Really? Donkey jawbone? What could you not get a hold of? Dead things. I'll take this instead. Kills the 1,000 and moves on. All right? And then he goes in, he finds Delilah. We go through the scenario. Don't miss next week. I'm telling you, it's going to be so good. You don't want to miss the things that entice us. And get us. This sweet tooth, man, has got him in trouble. But here's the deal. If there's an answer to our question of what's going on, it's this. Judges chapter 16, verses 28 and 30 through 30. So Then Samson. Now, to give you a background, he has gone through Delilah. They've cut his hair. They've gouged his eyes out like that. Like they have like eyes gouged out. Like that would kill me, right? But they've gouged out. He's still alive. He's a slave, and he's just done. He's wore out, beat down, and I forget. And this week I was reminded. Like, understand, Samson was not like, Arnold, like, listen, what do you want? I will break you in half. It wasn't like that. He looked normal, but his strength was supernatural. All right? It didn't like he looked like the Hulk and was that strong. Like he looked like Spider-Man, but he had Hulk strength, like Hulk smash, that kind of stuff. And so, but he goes up and here's what he says. Then Samson prayed to the Lord. Sovereign Lord, remember me again, O God. Please strengthen me just one more time. With one blow, let me pay back the Philistines for the loss of my 2 eyes. Then Samson put his hands on the pillars and they held up the temple. And pushing against them on both sides, he prayed, let me die with the Philistines. And the temple crashed down on the Philistine rulers and all the people. Then he killed more people when he died than he did during his entire lifetime. If you'll read his story, chapters like 14 through like 18 or so, you know what's crazy about Samson's life? This is when he prayed. Lowest point, he's a slave, gouged out eyes, and he can't see, and he's a slave. This is when he's now, oh God, would you help me? Up to this point, he just kind of was arrogant, took things for granted, walk on the line, cut my hair, play with dead things. It didn't really matter. It's not a big deal. All of a sudden, it became a big deal. You ever get frustrated so much with your kids? You go, fine, eat the whole cake, see what happens. You can eat the whole cake, but let's be honest, it's going to make you sick, won't it? It tastes good for a while, then you're like, I don't feel good. And then I feel the same way after you say those comments to your husband, to your wife, when you say those things to your kids, people you work with, at the ball game, to the official, to the ref. All of a sudden, your emotions got the best of you. I'm telling you, if we have to be led, that sweet tooth gets us. Because that sweet tooth is just that emotion's raw. But we have to choose to be led by the Spirit. Like, God, would you lead me? What's going to happen? He had 20 years of his life, and he dies, and he kills about 3,000 Philistines. Like, he accomplished a goal. But here's my deal. Do you think that he accomplished his full potential? I don't think so. And that's my heart. As I want us to reach our full potential. So here's 3 things that will get us and we'll be done. All right? They all start to say, so we've got to choose to be led by the Spirit, not by our sweet tooth, okay? So if we're going to be led by the Spirit, we choose to do that. Here's 3 things that will help us out that Samson didn't do. This one, we got to flee. Flee situations that you know you shouldn't be there. Stop walking on. If you struggle with alcohol, don't go to the bar. You struggle with your weight, stop going to buffets. Like, listen, I'm preaching to the choir. Listen, I know. But, man, what's your struggle? Stop going to those kind of places. Stop doing those kind of things. Stop getting on the internet if that's your issue. Don't poke the bear with husband and wife. Don't mess with the kids if you know this is the time. Whatever it is, don't go to situations that you know. Flee from those kind of places. Second of all, friends. So flee and then find some friends. You better get into a small group. MilestoneChurch.cc. Get online, find your campus where you're at, and click on and get connected to a small group. Listen, Samson wouldn't have had the issues he had if he'd had his friends at the party, because they wouldn't have been a cake party, would it? It'd been a different party. It'd have been a festival. It'd been a celebration. It'd have been fun. But he's sitting there with the enemy. You and I do the same thing. We're sitting there hanging out with the enemy. And the last thing is this, just follow the word. Meaning, listen, he was set apart, just like you and I are. His hair was his indication that he was set apart. Our lives should look different than the rest of the world. We're set apart. So flee, friends, and follow the word. I mean, these are the things that make a difference. And I think that's why it's such a big deal about our church. Our church is so cool because it allows you to keep you out of temptation. It keeps you with some great people. And it always reminds you about his word. So this week, man, that's what I want us to do. Man, flee from situations that are tough for you. Find some good group of friends and follow God's word. It'll make a difference in your life. Like I said, our sweet tooth, those emotions will get you in trouble. But if we choose to be led by the Spirit, it'll make a difference. Milestone, we love you. Let's pray and we'll be done. Jesus, you look awesome and we love you. Help us to be indicators of our emotions. They are good indications of what's going on. But if we follow after those, maybe we'll get ourselves in trouble. Help us to follow after you. Help us to be led by the Spirit. Help us to walk in that kind of emotional state when we're constantly looking for you and your next step and where we're supposed to be at. Help us to find some people to walk life with us. And thank you for your word that gives us an indication, gives us a guide of where we need to be. God, we love you. We praise you. In your name we pray. Amen. Milestone, man, I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. Share this if some friends may need this, and I hope it's encouragement to you. Have a great week, and no, fall's coming. Here we go. Love you guys.
All right, church, man, what an incredible word. What an incredible time of worship. God moved today, and we're just so excited about all He's going to be doing today. Remember, you can give at our website, milestonechurch.cc/give. If this is your first time, please go fill out that Connect card, milestonechurch.cc/connect. We want to hear from you, and we want to get to know you a little bit better. We are honored that you've chosen to spend your day, your Sunday morning, or wherever it is, here with us at Milestone Church. Y'all have a great day, and we'll see you next week.